Hello and welcome to ConTinual. And tonight we have a terrific one-on-one conversation with Tigris Eden. We're really excited to have her here with us as part of our holiday romance series. So Tigris, tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of books you write.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Tigris Eden here. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm a writer. I've been writing actually since the 6th grade. My very first pen story was The Case of the Missing Pepperoni. Um, it was a little short story. Probably back then it was a lot of words for me, 500 words about a pepperoni that went missing in a pizza parlor. And at night after the owner leaves, all the ingredients come to life. So they come to life. They were looking for their friend, Mr. Pepperoni, and he wasn't there. So hence the case of the missing pepperoni. I write contemporary, sci-fi, paranormal under my Tigris Eden name. Under my J.K. Rivers name, I write contemporary, sweet romance. And yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I'm not like the most exciting person you'll ever meet, so I apologize in advance. I tell everyone it's not me that's crazy, it's the people around me that are crazy, and hence that's where these ideas pop up in my head. I'm literally a homebody.
I understand completely. I always tell people I'm not personally interesting. My characters are interesting. I'm personally not. So
Yeah.
I get you. Totally get you. Now, how did you go from Mr. Pepperoni to writing about romance? There's a bit of a break there from
Yeah.
detective
So
to romance.
exactly right. So I don't know. So this is how it all started. It was the year 2008. Hurricane Ike. Was it Hurricane Ike? Was Ike in 2008 that hit Texas? I don't even remember because we've had so many hurricanes. But a hurricane came barreling through, and I've always been a reader, and so I I polished off the Twilight series, and no, that was not the catalyst. And then I said, okay, I want to read more vampires, but and I'm not going to badmouth any books because that's not the case. But I wanted in my version a Bram Stoker type vampire or a Lestat type vampire because I had read all those books. So I went on Amazon, I did some searching, I just put in vampire romance, and the first person that popped up for my vampire romance was Christine Feehan's Dark series. And then it was J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood. But when I first started reading the premises for both books, for whatever reason, I was more hip to the Carpathian vampires because it just seemed more Vlad Dracula-ish to me. So I bought the first 3 books and I polished them off in 2 days. And then I bought whatever was the most up-to-date back in 2008 on her series. And I couldn't wait for the next book. So I was like, well, let me try this J.R. Ward person, right? So then I started reading the Black Dagger Brotherhood, finished off what I could up until whatever book was up to 2008. And I thought, I could do this. I could tell a story. I have ideas in my head. I keep these journals. And that's pretty much what happened. I just sat down and I wrote a book. And actually, the book that I wrote, I just published it. The very first book, when I thought I had this wonderful idea, was I just published it. It was in an anthology last year. It came out of the anthology, and then I republished it at the beginning of this year, and that was Isaiah's Undoing. Now, there are no vampires in that one. There are angels and demons. I don't know how that siphoned off that way, but that's what happened.
And no pepperoni?
No pepperonis. They are not pizza eating vampires or angels or demons in this one.
We're coming up to the holidays. What do you like to read around the holiday period? Do you read holiday romance? Do you
I
are you a
do.
Hallmark girl at heart?
I do read holiday romances, but I tend to veer towards the obscure. I guess. So for me, it's A Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline, Corpse Bride. Those are the types of things that I'm watching during the holidays. As far as reading goes, believe it or not, for whatever reason, it's a tradition for me. I'm Edgar Allan Poe. I start literally, I have the big leather book of all his works. I start right after Thanksgiving, and it takes me through to the end of the year.
That sounds perfect to me. That yeah, I think we're
Yeah,
there.
that's what I do. That's what I do.
Makes sense to me. I mean, a holiday favorite here is The Fifth Element. So to each his
Ah,
own.
yes, yes.
Just
Leading
rewatched
Dallas
that.
multicast.
Right, right. And Die Hard. It's a Christmas movie.
Exactly, Die Hard. So my husband does Twilight Zone and Die Hard during Christmas and New Year's.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I like somebody made a Christmas ornament out of like a square of tin foil, and then they have Bruce Willis. They made a tube out of it, and Bruce Willis is crawling through it. So,
Oh
Die
wow.
Hard
Yeah,
Christmas ornament. Yeah,
got
it's a
it.
thing.
That is a thing.
So, tell us about the series that you have out right now and what's coming up next.
So I have a couple of series out. The one that I'm most known for under Tigris Eden is my Shadow Unit series. It's dark paranormal romance. There's vampires, which they're called vampiries. There's demons. There's angels. There's ferals. And it's more. I'm really big on mythology. So each book that I do in my Shadow Unit series will focus on some aspect in mythology. So for my first book, Enslaved in Shadows, that was based on Egyptian with a little bit of Roman mysticism in there, with how vampires came to be and how they were part of King Lyconis's thing and Apollo cursed them. So I kind of just do like my own little twist on things. The second book is about feral twins. So the pharaohs from Rome, the fathers of Rome, built it off of that. And I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of progress as we go. And I don't stick to one genre of mythology. I like all kinds. So it can range from Egyptian, it can go all the way to Macedonian, all the way. I've got Brazilian, I've got Hispanic, Spanish, the whole nine, you name it, you're going to find it in that series somewhere. And it all kind of meshes together to create this universe that I'm expanding on in my Shadow Unit series. And there are officially 7 books right now. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Gail.
No, I was just saying that's very cool.
There are 7 books right now. 5 of them are full length, 2 of them are novellas. The 6th book, which is the 8th book, because the 2 novellas in between will be coming out probably around May of next year, which is Blood Kissed. I'm looking forward to it. That's Adam's book. He is a vampire in all intents purposes, but he is your flashy sort of Hollywood vampire. He's the face of the agency. So whenever they get into trouble, they push Adam out to the public to basically apologize because he's the pretty boy. But he's got some dark stuff happening with him. So it's time for him to shine. I'm looking forward to that. And the fun thing about that book is I haven't nailed down exactly which mythology I want to run towards. I was kind of thinking, and I know a lot of people don't think of like Dracula as a myth, but I do. Mythology, I do. So I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of leaning towards him being related to Vlad in some way, like his ancestors, and there's like this special strain of vampire blood that's in him. But I haven't decided yet. It's still kind of up in the air. I've got it all jumbled up here in my head somewhere, but it'll happen. I'll figure it out. Another series that I have is my Arctic Wolf series. It's also a paranormal. They're werewolves in Alaska. And they are rough and tough, and there's a little bit of BDSM in there, very light BDSM. I like to say that in the beginning because a lot of people, shouldn't say a lot of people, some people shy away towards that, but it's very, very light BDSM. And theirs is all based on Egyptian mythology. So there's actually a pyramid buried deep in the mountains there in Mount McKinley in Alaska. And that's where the source of all of their power and transformations come from. So yes.
Wow. So now what got you hooked on mythology? Because this sounds like something that's been around for you for a while.
Yes. Sixth grade again.
Were you like I was, bringing home Bullfinch's Mythology from the library, where the librarian's going, don't you want to read something more age appropriate?
My dad was very open-minded and allowed me to bring home probably things I shouldn't have brought home. I was reading V.C. Andrews in the 4th grade, and who reads books about incest and revenge plots? Like, who does that? I did. But again, it started with 6th grade. My 6th grade teacher was very influential in my life. So I will tell you, when we first saw her, she looked like a witch. We thought she was a witch. She wore this long black dress. She had the Victorian boots, like the old, I want to equate them to like, they were just Victorian boots, the lace up boots with the little frills at the end. You never see anybody wear those types of things. She drove this really cool old school 1967 Porsche, and she designed the classroom in such a way to where you didn't sit in rows. It was a circle, and we had this huge tree in the corner. So for every single book that we read, we made a leaf and we put it on the tree throughout the year. And she had this program that we did called Adapt. And basically it was, you had to adapt to those times. And one of the times that she made us adapt to were the Romans and the Greeks. And then that's when all the mythology came out. And then we put on this play about Persephone and Hades. And from there, I was hooked. I just wanted to know all these different stories and where they all came from. And as you know, when you start reading mythology, it kind of leads you down a rabbit hole, right? Because there's just these little niches of them everywhere, worldwide. Everybody has their own little story that was told to them from beginning to end. And so that's how it started for me. And I still have Bullfinch's stuff in there in my office. So yeah, it's a research book for me. I've got plenty of mythology research books.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally get it. I bet we have a lot of the same stuff on the shelves. No, that makes a lot of sense to me. So is there a genre that you have sort of thought about maybe you'd like to write in, but you haven't yet?
YA. I would love to do like an urban fantasy YA, but there's just one problem. Tigris sucks at first person so hard. And now I've written in first person. I have a contemporary series that I did in first person, but I think my editor, Shell Olson, who's amazing, by the way, I think she probably lost hair and probably a couple years off of her life for that series, just because of the tenses, right? With the first person, the present, past. I don't get it. I don't get it. So I'm working on it though. Working on it.
What attracts you to YA?
I'm going to be honest, the book covers are beautiful, right? The book covers, the stories are amazing. There are a couple of YAs that I've read that have sucked me in and just had me like waking up in the middle of the night like, oh my God, that was really good. And then it's like, that should be a movie. But then they come out with a movie and it's like, no, the book was better. So yeah. And I have a couple of characters in my head that have been talking to me a lot, saying that they need their own story, but they're not adults. They're high schoolers, and they want to go on these adventures. But I'm like, yeah, I can't help you right now. I got to perfect my craft first and learn how to write in first person.
Yeah, and that goes with the turf. I get it. Now you talked about studying some of the different periods in history. Is there any period of history you'd like to, you don't have to go back and live there, but maybe be a fly on the wall, be, get to look at it for real and then safely jump back to where we are, or whatever?
I would have to say it's a toss up between ancient Rome and ancient Egypt. I'd have to say it's a toss up. Rome, because just their way of thinking and their way of life, and they were so far advanced than most other civilizations at their time when they were at their greatest, right? And then the outfits were amazing. And I can only imagine, and the fact that they were so excessive in their partying and they're just living their best life, right? I would love to be a fly on the wall to see how that all really played out. And then gladiators. Who doesn't want to go to the Coliseum and see gladiators fight? That would be amazing. And then for Egypt, strangely enough, I would want to be in Thebes or even Alexandria. The first library was in Alexandria. The very first lighthouse was in Alexandria as well, Port of Alexandria. So yeah, I would want to be there during the time as they're, floating on their huge barges down the Niles and the crocodiles swimming along the way, seeing how they actually truly did the mummification, because we can't figure it out apparently. We just haven't grasped that yet. I think that would be interesting. And then I'd quickly, like you said, come back. After a while, because I can only live without my TV and my internet for so long.
See, I like indoor plumbing and antibiotics,
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, I would like to watch it. I don't really want to stay there, but I agree. It would be so cool to go back and see if we've gotten anything right about what we think
what we're thinking, exactly what we think happened.
No, I that makes a lot of sense to me. So now, if you could have dinner with any famous writer or famous person, living or dead, who would it be? And why?
Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe. I would just want to sit down and pick his brain. One of my favorite stories from Edgar Allan Poe is The Telltale Heart. I remember reading that and just being blown away, because really it wasn't until the very end that I actually was like, this dude is crazy. He killed the guy. And it's like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Poe would be fun to have dinner with. Of course, he was broke most of the time, so you'd have to pay for his bill too.
Yeah.
But he'd be worth it.
He'd be worth it, yes. Definitely.
So beyond mythology, where do you find some of the inspiration for your stories? Certainly there's a very deep well in mythology to draw from, but what else influences you?
Family members. My best friend is a character in one of my books, although her name has been changed to protect the not so innocent. And just, everyday life. So even though I don't like to go out and people, if I don't have to interact with them and I can just kind of sit back from afar, like when I go to a restaurant, for instance, or when I could go to a restaurant, I would, just, kind of side people watch and listen to some of the conversations that I've heard, or just remembering something dramatic that's happened, like in high school. Like high school was very dramatic for me. I saw a lot of crazy things. I was like, how does that make any sense? Band geek over here, by the way. So I wasn't involved in the drama, but I got to watch the drama. And then just some of the situations that I hear about, for some reason, I have this uncanny ability for people to come to me and tell me, I don't want to say it's their deepest, darkest secrets, but they know that I'll listen and they'll ask for advice. And so I find as I'm giving it my sage-like advice, as my husband likes to call it, I'm like, that could really happen. And that's a situation. And I've been told by a couple of my readers, is one of the things that they like about my paranormal romance is there's some serious reality written into it, because they're like, that could really happen if you take out the werewolf piece and the vampire piece. And it's like, yeah, because it has happened. Or somebody's come to me and said, this is happening with me. What do you think I should do? And I'm like, let's try this. And I switch it all up so I don't put anybody out there. And I ask permission if it's something that would be considered devastating before I write about it. And then too, dreams. Like I have the most vivid, amazing dreams at the weirdest things. And then I'll just be like, that could be a story.
That all sounds really good. Now, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about your process and
Hmm.
also kind of creating a new process or rhythm with the current unpleasantness and how it sort of switched things up for us. So,
Right.
go about sitting down to do your writing.
So sitting down for me now in the current state of events consists of pen and paper. Whereas before I could sit at my computer, but because I'm homebound now 24/7, it's kind of hard to separate because my office doubles as my writing space and my workspace. And because I spend so much time in there, when my work is over, I'm exhausted and I don't want to go to the next computer desk and start punching out some words or working on marketing. So what I've had to do now is I literally will pick up a notepad and I will go into another part of the house and I'll handwrite my stories now. And then on the weekends is when I'll type them up because I can't do it Monday through Friday. Like my mind right now is in that phase of you've been in that office for too long. You got to get out of there. Don't go back in there. And then I'll literally wake up Saturday morning. I'll do whatever it is I need to do for Saturday. And then I tell myself, hard stop at 12. And from 12 to 6, I'll write out or type out whatever I've written throughout the week.
Now, are you a plotter or a pantser? Do you come up with these elaborate outlines and then pretty much follow them, or do you just start the story and see where it goes?
I'm in the middle. So it starts off as an idea and it starts off with some plot points. And then I kind of fill in the gaps. Um, I've outlined a story in complete detail, sat down to write it, and it came out nothing like I expected it to. It went all the way to the left, so far to the
Mhm.
left that I was like, this is not the story I had in mind, but this is the story. Um, but I'm a planner too. So, with that being said, I have 3 planners. I have one for work, I have one for self, me, and then I have one for writing. And my writing planner is where I will jot down my ideas. Um, I guess you could call it half plotting. I know there's a
Mhm.
word for that between being a plotter and a pantser. I can't remember what that terminology is, but I straddle the line. It's half and half. Um, and then I also use my husband too. I'll bounce ideas off of him. He's like really big into conspiracy theories and aliens, and he gives me really good material, end of world stuff, zombie things. So I use him a lot.
Yeah, my husband and I are in the business together, and we had to learn early on that if we went out for lunch together, back when you did such things, we really had to be mindful of what we were talking about because I couldn't just be in a restaurant and go, "So I need help. I got to kill this guy, but I need a new way to do it because I've used all the old ways. I need something fresh."
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
get really weird looks from the servers and some of the other diners when you talk like that.
So my thing is when we were going out is I would see people and I would
Hmm.
see like what they were wearing and I would literally be that person. Can I take a picture of you? And I'd get there was like 50-50 hit or miss. Sometimes they're like, excuse me, why? And then other people were like, sure, okay. I was at a book signing once and this guy had the most beautiful hair ever. Was like, I don't know, he was not American, I will say that. He was European, maybe Mediterranean, even like maybe from Greece or Spain or something. But his hair was beautiful. And then he had this really nice, just rugged looking beard, and he was dressed really sharp. And my husband usually goes to my book signings with me. And a friend next to me, Paige Prince, was sitting next to me. We're at Barnes and Nobles here in Texas. And she was like, dude, that guy is so hot. I was like, right? I need to get a picture of him. This is a character. And I went over and I said, excuse me, sir, can I take a picture of you? And he's with his girlfriend. And she's looking like, why do you want to take a picture of my boyfriend? And I was like, I'm an author, inspiration. It just hit me. And then he was like, oh, am I going to show up on a book cover? And I was like, no, sir. No, we're not going to go that far. I just want to take a picture so that I can remember what you look like and refer back to it. And my husband was like, if I didn't know better, I would say you were like trying to hit on that guy. I was like, no, I have to be nice in order to get the picture. You can't just go up to somebody and be like, hey, I need your picture.
This
and I
is
do
true.
that with females too. Like there was a security guard in the bank, and she legit looked like she was about to like go off and like defuse a bomb. Like she had the whole gear on, and I was like, dude, you look amazing. Can I get a picture of you? She's like, sure. And I took a picture of her. So that's me. Conversations, and I take pictures.
Oh, I love people watching, and then watching other people in an airport or a restaurant, and then mentally making up what their whole story is. Like they're in an airport. Why are they in the airport? Maybe they're going to visit so-and-so. And you come up with these stories and you go, ooh, wait, I want to remember that part. That could work.
That could work, yes.
Games authors play.
Yes.
So with your fondness for taking pictures of people, I have to ask, is there a celebrity out there that is, you would totally fangirl squee over them? Is there some celebrity that just,
Does it have to be one?
No.
So Tigris's secret obsession is K-pop. And my favorite K-pop band is Super M, and I did get to see them in concert right before the pandemic back in November of last year. And I didn't get to meet them. I wish I could have. But when I say that I turned into a 16-year-old schoolgirl screaming her head off, and I took my husband with me too. And I literally screamed. So I was like, I love you. I was like just going insane. If I could like just meet that whole group, it'd just be amazing to me.
That's fun. I mean, we don't have that many outlets for doing that kind of thing. People don't look askance at you when you do that at a football game. But if you don't go to football games, we have to get this enjoyment elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's Super M.
That's fantastic. So now, you talked a little bit about what you have coming up next year, and that's exciting. Anything else that's kind of on the back burner that you're just sort of kicking around but haven't gotten to yet?
I have lots of things on the back burner. So I just went through a whole rebranding of my Shadow Unit series. So I'm going to be introducing those covers at the beginning of the year. So I'm excited about that. Rebecca Poole from Dreams to Media, amazing cover artist. Oh my God.
And you had gorgeous covers before, so I can't wait to see what these look like.
I'm excited. So I went through this phase. Shadow Unit series has had 4 cover artists. The first one didn't work out, and she only did the first 3 books. The second one, it was okay, but it didn't mesh well. Like they didn't match up. And then the third one, she was doing great. And then all of a sudden she comes to me and she says, my heart's not in this anymore. I don't think I can go forward. And that's when I ran into Rebecca. And I've worked with Rebecca in the past. So Rebecca designed the cover for The Black Prince, which is book 5 in my Shadow Unit series. And it's got a chess piece and just the eyes. And it really is a game that these characters are playing. And I started thinking this year, and I was like, you know what? I need to stick with that. So a little tidbit that nobody else knows except for you guys, you will now see chess pieces on the Shadow Unit. And the color scheme is amazing. And I think for those who are very familiar with the series, they'll get, when they see the first book, they're gonna be like, I know why she chose that piece. It'll all kind of fall into place. So I'm looking forward to that. I do have some covers that I need to attach stories to that are halfway done, and some that need to be started that I'm looking forward to and I'm excited about. And this year, had we not been struck by this thing, right, the pandemic, I think that the creativity and the writing would have flowed a lot faster for me, because I'm really good about at least trying to get out 4 to 5 books a year. but this year it just didn't happen. And I'm hoping that next year it will pick up. I am on a little hiatus right now due to some other things that are happening in my life that I need to focus on. So I've shifted over to that, but I'm still writing every day. There's not anything coming out for the rest of the year until I can get ahead where I need to be. And then I'm hoping that by doing this, I'll be ahead in the writing, right? And then I can say, Shell, edit, 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 and then I can start, publishing. But then as a plus, I'll still be writing as those are happening. So I'll be able to, catch up, as they say, or get ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, two things there. One is covers are so much fun. I always joke that I buy covers the way some girls buy shoes. So I have these covers in a file for books I haven't written yet. I mean, I audit them, but oh my gosh, the cover. And so I've got it. So now I have to keep writing because I have these covers.
Right, exactly.
It's kind of an incentive. I can't let it down now. I have the cover.
Yes.
And the other is, I think that there's a lot of truth in what you're saying about this year has just been a weird year. It's been weird on so many levels, and there's been so much tension and so much uncertainty. And I think that's messed with a lot of people's creativity, or just, it's messed with their schedule enough that then that messes with their time. And we can only really keep so many balls in the air at once. And
right.
This year has just, in a weird.
It has been. It's been weird from a emotional aspect, a psychological aspect, a health aspect, a physical aspect. It's like it's just run the gambit completely it's covered everything from A to Z, right? Anything possible. It's, if you have a pre-existing condition, do you even want to chance it and go out and be among people? And then it's common courtesy. I'm a firm believer, like, the very funny thing is, before this thing all came about, I have a picture of me in October, right before I went to Amsterdam, where I had a mask on my face with a smiley face, a cotton mask. And it was because I was sick, but I had to go into work for something. And I just wore the mask, not because of the pandemic, because I didn't know about it back then. Like, it was just starting to create buzz. I wore it out of respect for my fellow colleagues. I'm not going to go into the office and just hack up a lung in front of you. It's just to be respectful. So yeah, this year, I want to say, has been very unpleasant. It's been very constricting for me, even though I'm a homebody, because as a writer, that's where we spend most of our days, right? As we spend it in front of our computer. But we have that freedom that if we say, oh, hey, Gail, let's go meet up for drinks, we can say that and not have to worry about it. And this new norm that we're all adjusting to didn't sit well with me like I thought it would. Like, in the very beginning, I was like, well, great. I don't have to go outside. I can order groceries now. They'll deliver it. Perfect. I'm good with that. I miss going to the grocery store. I have not gone to the grocery store since March. Everything comes to my home. Amazon probably thinks I'm their best friend.
On one hand, it's sort of like Christmas every day because there are always boxes. On the other hand, inside the box is the bag of tortilla chips you ordered. So,
exactly. Yes.
Lucky Christmas present, dude. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. And normally you and I would cross paths at least one convention. And of course, that's where we see each other as authors and get with all the readers and get to meet new people and just hang out with all that energy and excitement. And so, that's another thing we've missed. And it's been weird. And I think for a lot of people, it's cut into their flow or their productivity or just being able to pull the thoughts together. So no, I totally get you.
Yeah.
So what's the first place you want to travel when we can finally do that again?
I want to go to Greece. I have been posting a lot of pictures. Actually, it's kind of slowed down. But what is the name of the plant? Is it bougainvillea? The one that vines out and it's like pretty like fuchsia color on those white adobe little houses that you see.
Yeah.
I want to go and just sit down and just enjoy that and look out and look at the blue ocean and just take a picture and say, I'm here. That's
No.
the first place I'd like to go.
I agree completely. Actually, I'm good to any place that has a view of the ocean. That's the thing I missed the most this year is I didn't get my beach vacation. And that's when I just sit butt in chair and stare at the water and read and then stare at the water some more. And yeah, I'm missing that one.
Yeah. It's calming though. Like, when I go to Florida for Coastal Magic for Jen Morris's convention, I always try to get a room with an ocean view, and I will sleep with the sliding glass door open just so that I can hear the waves come in, go. I don't even care if it's freezing cold. I'll put blankets on top of blankets.
Jeannie Adams and I usually room together at Coastal, and same thing. It's like, okay, we got to pay the little bit extra to be able to look at
Yep.
the ocean, and we're going to leave the door open every minute we possibly can.
Exactly. Agreed.
No,
Agreed.
I agree completely. Well, Tigris, thank you so much for being
You're
with us.
welcome.
This has been so much fun. And
Yes. Yes.
so we will be talking again with you soon, I'm sure, because there are more stories yet to tell.
Yes,
And
there are.
And thank you, folks, for being here with us at ConTinual.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. There will be more holiday romance and lots of good stuff coming your way. So thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, guys.